everyone, and good morning. Welcome to 1 Million Cups. I am your host, Alex Trebek. Just kidding. My name is Jackie Stebbins, and I am a fully recovered trial lawyer. I will be your MC this morning. Thank you so much for being here. So, if you are here and you're like, why am I here? What is 1 Million Cups? Well, 3 words. It's caffeine, it's connection, and it is community. Heavy emphasis on community. But it is also a free weekly program that gives local businesses and community builders the opportunity to share their ideas, engage with their community for advice and feedback. I have it on good authority that with Tonya, we are closing in on the 1 million cups of coffee. She said she's responsible for like a ton of it, and I love that about her. I actually love a lot of things about Evan and Tonya, but I'll get there later. So, what are we doing today at 1 Million Cups? What do we want to take away? Can we change the face of our startup community by connecting local entrepreneurs over the million cups of coffee? And honestly, I'm going to pull a little Fred Rogers here, but won't you please, tell your neighbor about 1 Million Cups. Anytime I meet someone that's new to the community, I always ask them if they know about this and to make sure to join. With that, do we actually have anyone here today who is a first timer at 1 Million Cups? Awesome, love it. Welcome. You know, one important thing I forgot, housekeeping, today is February 4th, 2026, which does mean that it's approximately 49 days until Elton John's birthday. So, he's turning 79. I will accept all nice gifts on his behalf, especially if it's something that's Elton fabulous. Just thought I'd throw that out there. All right. This is a lean, mean, fighting machine operation, but it does take some money to keep the doors open and keep the warm coffee. Thank you, Joe. So we have amazing sponsors. Venti sponsors, if you want to order me Venti today, love the green tea, just going to throw it out there. Marlowe's National Day Calendar, Bismarck Mandan Chamber, Sanstead Law Offices, so some really great sponsors there. We also have the Grande, I would just take a hot latte, nothing fancy. Grande sponsors, University of Mary. Got the connections. We also have some tall sponsors, Gizmonix, Goldman Sachs, Sanford, Cappuccino on Collins. Again, thank you for that warm coffee. Everybody there, thank you so much. And some in-kind sponsors, some really great people who are here devoting their time, talent, treasure. Some people have all 3 of those. I have 0, just saying. So the people who have all of those, thank you for all you're doing. We have people in the booth. 2 people that make this show happen all the time, Evan and Tonya. They are so awesome. There's a ton of awesome people, but what I love about these 2 is they make me so happy. Seriously, you can't ever be around these 2 and not have a huge smile, and that is why I love coming here for this community, and they are just so fun. So everybody here today doing the work and all the sponsors, can we quick give them a little round of applause? At the end, we will have questions. You can ask if I know how to moonwalk. Sort of, but it's not very good, so don't ask that. You can ask our guest presenters some questions. I believe Ross will be running the mic today, so let's hear that presentation, then save those awesome questions for the end. We do have some community announcements today. Evan's got this one.
And you thought you wouldn't get any Evan today. Sorry about it. You open up National Day calendar and it's like this science geeky day. I'm like, oh, I want to do that one. So it's National Creative Vacuum Day. It's kind of a DIY sort of day, creative vacuum, do some experiments. I don't know how many of you have a vacuum pump at home, probably not a lot. Had I not just got back into town yesterday, there'd be one on stage right now that we'd be doing some experiments with. So sadly, we're not going to do that. I was going to do lab coat and safety glasses and the whole bit. But anyway, National Creative Vacuum Day. So I just want to talk for a second about vacuum. For those of you that might not know, we talk about pressure all the time. We don't know that much about vacuum. Vacuum is literally just the absence of any matter. So you pick a vessel, take everything out of it, and then you have a vacuum. Anything shy of that, a couple little molecules, a couple little atoms, you don't have a vacuum, you have a partial vacuum. So atmospheric pressure at sea level, but it's close enough, in a measurement called millibars, and why 1,013? It's just a little quirky thing, but is 1,013 millibar. So a little bit more about vacuum. There's kind of a common misconception that, if you take a water bottle and suck the air out of it and it crushes, and there's this misconception that if you can suck hard enough on any vessel, you can eventually crush it. Well, that's not true, because once you've evacuated everything out of it, you can't pull anything more out of it. So it's just the pressure outside the vessel pushing in. If that's not enough to crush it, it's not going to crush. So anyway, sea level, 1,013 millibar. I happen to, at our shop at Gizmonics, have this little contraption set up on the bench right now as we speak. It's a very small vacuum chamber. Right here is the vacuum chamber. This is a turbomolecular pump. The thing up top is a gauge. We're going to be using this for some experiments that are of a secretive nature, but the vacuum isn't a secret. So I've been working on getting this vacuum as close to perfect, if you will, as we can. And so keeping in mind that 1,013 millibar is kind of the pressure around us right now, so far with this chamber, I've been able to achieve, through some baking and running for days and days and days, 9.6 times 10 to the minus 10 millibar. So that's how many zeros there are. So not a perfect vacuum. I'll keep working on it. But so anyway, I invite you to go buy a turbomolecular pump today and have some fun with vacuum.
Give it up for that. I've never heard the word millibar in my life, but I did hear Evan say a lack of matter, and I think that explains my mind on science. I have a middle child who asks really hard questions about magnets and electricity. I am sending him to Evan. I also saw it was National Mail Carrier. Thank you, Mail Carrier, right, Marlo? And do we need to thank those lovely people when it's 109 below in North Dakota doing the work? Yeah, that's huge. I think I also saw it was women and girls in sports, which is awesome. Okay, Janya, do you want to take this one? Okay.
This is just super quick, but because we've got some new folks in the audience as well, don't forget our Mug Club, which is our loyalty program. And for this year, we've mixed it up a little bit. This year's stickers are black. So black stickers only if you get 5, 10, or 15, which means you've come in 2026 that many times, you can get the associated swag. For the bigger swag, the ones that take 20, 25, and 50, we're taking all sticker colors. There have been many of them over the years. But don't forget to count your number of stickers. I was watching some folks today, and they are so close. And it's know that sticker count, people. If you cross the line and we don't catch it, that swag just, lays there and nobody has it. So count your stickers.
Okay, I want to count mine right now, and I see you, Joe. You're peeling mine off. Yeah, exactly. I should have been hiding my cup. Alrighty, a couple more announcements. I know Tyler's not here, so okay, I'll just kind of run through it. Saturday, February 7th at the library. It's Winterfest. I can say winter, but I can't remember. Is it? Okay, I'm just going to do weird things. Go, ha ha ha, yeah. So the Winterfest Heige Hangout. I know they're doing a lot of cool themes, and it sounds really fun, and I think there's hot chocolate, and if not, we can blame someone else for saying that. Okay, this looks really great. Children's book flash sale, February 14th, 10 to noon. We actually always give our kids books on Valentine's Day, so that is actually really fun. So fundraiser to support the Friends of the Bismarck Public Library. What an awesome place to support. So if you have any questions, I think Tyler would know. I believe he sits on the board. Okay, the next announcement.
I'm Lane Hoffer. I'm the Grant and Development Manager for the Abused Adult Resource Center, and we have our Galentine's Day brunch on Sunday, this Sunday. It's at the Baymont in Mandan. So it is Super Bowl Sunday, but this would be a great pregame. If anybody, Say you can just send your girlfriend, your wife to this. It's before the game, and so you can just throw stuff in the crock pot and then come back and enjoy the game afterwards. I know it goes till 2 o'clock. It's 11 to 2 on this Sunday.
Awesome. Thank you. Another wonderful place to support in our community doing such important work, the Abused Adult Resource Center. Okay, I think we had one more announcement in the group.
Hi guys, Trevor from Patriot Nutrition. We're a nutrition club. If you haven't heard of us before, I will have this slide up next week, but we're doing a Customer Appreciation Day on Giving Hearts Day. We're also partnering with Soul 57, which gives back to youth grief. So every person that gets our Customer Appreciation Day combo, $5 will go towards the Soul 57. And I have a bunch of these stacks, so the best thing that you could do to help me get the word out is just come find me afterwards and take some back to your guys' respective workplaces. Thank you so much.
Love it. Thank you so much. Okay, before I get to my moonwalking, I think it's time to introduce our presenter. We have Tonya Auck today. She is a mental health practitioner, and she's on her own entrepreneurial journey. And I believe the tagline in her website is that she runs on a little bit of caffeine and a lot of faith. So let's give it up for her and what she's doing in the community. That's right.
Check. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm Tonya. I'm a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner, and everybody that sees my title, they're like, it's like alphabet soup. They can't really figure out all the words. I'm like, yeah, it's a difficult one, but so I'm originally from North Dakota, New Rockford. It's a small town northeast of here, and I didn't know it at the time until later. Now as adults, we get to know ourselves, but I was a really anxious kid, and my stomach always hurt, and that's kind of what anxiety comes out in kids, is headaches and stomach aches. And learning now, we all learn about ourselves, and just how much I was struggling with that, and how it's coming full circle, and how I'm able to help people and just listen. And people listened to me as a kid, but they just didn't really know. I don't think anxiety was really talked about much back then, and emotions are coming out now with us being more open to talking about it, especially after COVID, I think. And just our strong German culture around here, we need to just be more open about it. So anyway, I, growing up as a teenager, worked with people with disabilities for 6 years and just loved working with people with Down syndrome. And then I moved into working as a CNA at the nursing homes and then at the hospital. And as I was kind of dating somebody, I was going to go into marine biology. I loved snorkeling. I loved all that stuff. He's like, why don't you be a nurse? And I was like, yeah, why don't I be a nurse? So then I went into nursing school and went to Med Center 1 and graduated from UND for my master's degree. And psychiatry was always interesting to me because when I worked with people with disabilities, I had somebody with Down syndrome who had really bad OCD, and it was just kind of interesting to watch how he would do things and how we would have to kind of, as he got dementia, we'd have to do his OCD behaviors for him. So it was kind of interesting. It was just a really cool thing to experience and just be able to work with people. So I worked in the hospital for psychiatry with crisis management, lots of suicide attempts, lots of addiction, lots of really chronically ill schizophrenia for at least 12 years of my practice. And I was starting to kind of get burnt out. I was not feeling as compassionate about the people that needed the compassion and just kind of questioning myself. And my business kind of came out of, oddly, I was working out and going to the gym in the morning and sitting in the sauna, meeting with another nurse who was burnt out in admin at Sanford. And I was telling her, God will provide whatever you want to do. You should maybe step out and see what your passion is. And so when I left that sauna, I was thinking to myself, what am I doing? Like, for 2 weeks I studied how to open up my own business, and within 2 weeks I was thinking of leaving Sanford after being there for, 12 years or close to 15, I think, when I had left. So 2 weeks later, I started thinking of Enlighten Healthcare. I got a business certificate or whatever through the state, and that's when that came about. So I was just feeling I was outgrowing Sanford. I wanted to do something bigger. My faith was growing, and God was just pushing me out of my comfort zone. I have 3 kids. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I said, God will provide, just like I told the lady in the sauna. So we meet up, I think we had talked maybe a month later, and here she applied for nurse practitioner school after our visit in the sauna, and she, then I told her what I was doing. So it was just, God has those aha moments that just stick with you. So it was just a really cool deal. So why? Growing up, I feel like our parents always, you got to work hard for money, and I just didn't want to do that. I wanted to be with my family, and I feel like you can't do that. You can't make your way up in the world working for somebody else, and I wanted my time to be valuable with my kids and my family, and that's why I also stepped out on my own to build my my faith-based practice, which I listen to people. I give a lot of time for my new intakes for my evaluations, and I try to provide the best evidence-based care, and just partner with a lot of people in the community. I do a full assessment when I see people, and I'll kind of get into what I do, but I do a full medical kind of assessment. I work with counselors in the community. I have coffee with them. I get to know them through my other clients to see if they're getting good therapy, and just make sure that who I'm referring to are good providers in the community and that I trust. And people trust my word, and it comes back pretty well, I feel like. So this is my office. I am going to be moving in with some great people in March here coming up. So Faye Johnson, she's a functional medicine doctor in town, and Kayla Holzer at Healthways, she is leaving and opening up her own practice, which I told her I'm going to drop her name here because it's going to be called Everwell, and I told her she's going to probably be up here soon, but she does a lot of hormone testing and just medical workup, and does a lot of like not just medicine. She tries to heal the body and do a hormone testing and just a good assessment as far as needing supplements. She'll push those versus medicine. So I send my clients to her for workups, and so now we'll be in the same building collaborating together. So the goal would be to maybe get a therapist there that I would be able to refer to. But so what do? I do psychiatric evaluation. So that means I'm assessing for mental health disorders. I do medication management if that's what people want. I don't push it on people. I educate, I talk about the symptoms, and we talk about a plan. I also do supportive therapy, and I also pray with people, and I use scripture in my visits, and just explain how, through the Bible, different passages, how we should live life based on the Bible's teachings, because that's kind of like our guide for life. And so I think that's just the best support that we could have. I don't understand how people can go to, and faith is I assess it with people, but if that's not important to them, they wouldn't even know I was a Christian probably, unless they looked around my office. So I don't push it on people. I have tons of people that aren't Christians, and I was kind of concerned about, advocating for myself for that, and like putting it on my website, and everybody's like, that's your whole reason you're doing this. So you need to speak about your faith. And so I was like, yeah, that's true. I need to, take one for the team. I mean, God's doing this for me, and I got to do it for him. And so I'm not afraid to speak about my faith, but I also don't push it on people. I can pray for them in the background, and they're not even going to know it. So, so I do treat depression, anxiety, sleep disorders, substance use. It's limited in what I do there. ADHD, and I guess there's a whole gamut of disorders that I treat in that, and I just don't treat severe mental illness because, again, that's kind of what I did for so long, and I just don't want to get burnt out again. I want to be able to do my passionate work and get people well. So what people don't really know is when I opened my business, left Sanford, left my insurance, the following week I had a stroke on January 1, and I was completely paralyzed, not knowing what was going to happen because I was just leaving my job, and I have 3 kids that I'm sole provider for and take care of and drive around to hockey, and we were on a hockey weekend actually at my parents', so I sobbed for days not knowing what I was going to do, what my future was going to be like, how I was going to get paid. Sanford was really good to me, I have to say. But God did this to me for a reason, because I would not know like the extent of how our brains are powerful and how much we can rewire them. And I've known about neuroplasticity in the mental health world, but until you see it physically and have to rewire your brain to where you can actually move and walk and and be able to drive and just do all the things that you normally do since birth and have to just make those new connections in your brain. I now use that to teach people. Physically, I did it. I know you can do it mentally with your mental health, with anxiety, with depression, that it takes time, it takes practice, it takes therapy, and it's doable. And so the brain is so powerful. I told Jackie, which did an awesome job emceeing, and these guys have been so sweet too, Evan and Ganya. Is that how you say it? Ganya? Yeah, through the process. So I thank you for having me here. But I'm going to talk a little bit more about the neuroplasticity later. I think Jackie and I had talked about that. But so I'm big on, I had depression as a kid too. I think, it's just, it's out there. We don't talk about it as much. And this is the statistics for North Dakota. Suicide is number 9, and it actually moved up. It used to be number 8, I think, the last time I did a talk. But every year for like 12 years, I've been doing this suicide prevention walk that's been at the Capitol. When I worked at the hospital, I was always pushing, even as a CNA, when I first started out, to kind of go support people there. It's a tough walk to do because you see people hurting so bad, but it's just, we need to get that out there that we can treat depression. Suicide is not treatable. So this is me and the kids a long time ago. They're bigger now, but and we do this walk every year. I just love supporting it. I have a booth there now as my own business. So, but let's see. I do online and in-person visits, so people love that. They can just hop on their lunch, 30 minutes. We can reassess, medications, whatever they need to. And this is my contact info. You can text or call my business line if anybody wants to have coffee. I just love getting to know people and collaborating with them and just, doing whatever we need to help the community out with their mental health problems. So I guess that's pretty much it. So. Okay. Yeah, and I love that I can wear high heels again. It's still a little rough sometimes. My left side, I call it lefty, kind of messes with me.
Oh my gosh, I can't imagine. Thank you so much for being so vulnerable and sharing that, especially in this group today. We're here to talk about business and entrepreneurial journeys, but something I keep hearing in the reading I do about mental health and the listening, it's, we bring our whole selves everywhere we go, right? We bring our whole selves to work, and there's kind of this mythical, and mystical work-life balance, but it's kind of like, but we're always the same person. We're always bringing our same self to work, and so thank you for that vulnerability and just kind of opening this up for all of us to say, we can't talk about our business one day and just, put our mental health in a vacuum. So, okay, So Evan is going to ask the first question. Here we go.
Jackie, you're going to have a lot of good things to say about all this too, I'm sure. But to the business piece, how has that gone from sitting in the sauna that day and kind of having your aha moment? Can you speak to maybe the fulfillment of the work piece, but also, kind of having to tackle all the business components as well?
Yeah, I mean, I was obviously doing it from the hospital bed for the first couple weeks because I had to do rehab in Fargo. So interesting, I had a biller that came and visited me in the hospital, and we helped get all that stuff going, but I had to do neuropsych testing to retest my brain to make sure I was cognitively okay to prescribe medications to people, and which is something that I had to prescribe to people in the hospital, which was kind of demeaning to me. I have to do this test. Really, I had other people with dementia have to do it, and so I was on the other end of the spectrum, which was really, it was kind of nice to see, that side of it too. And I hated that test. I mean, it was the worst. I'm pretty sure I'm ADD, and now I learned I would never want to do those questions before or after the stroke. So it was 4 hours of torture. But I mean, it was a slow growing because it took me 3 months to actually be able to drive and to function again. But with mental health, I'm I can do this still. I might not be able to type, which I can type now, but I can still evaluate people. My brain's there. So luckily I have all that cognitive ability to do my work, and still make money and function. And so it's actually kind of been a slow growth, which again, I give to God. Was able to heal. You know, if I was back in the hospital doing 100%, I would not be able to heal like I did, you know, going. And it's been fulfilling. Like when I sit and pray with people and you feel the Holy Spirit chills, and only probably some people would understand that, but that's when I know I'm doing what I'm doing, you know, what I'm meant to do and what I'm called to do. So, and I think that's part of my passion too, is just, I think God, he gives us those time, talents, treasures, you know, like we're supposed to use in his kingdom, and I want people to be able to see what that is for each person and really bring that out in therapy too. Like if you're not happy, you need to find out what your passion is and do that. So.
Oh man, it kind of mostly went out of my head, except I'm thinking you need to find that sauna and charge an entry fee for that.
I still go there now every morning now. I'm back finally going there and just, you know, I do my prayer, my meditations, get my day set in there. So yeah, but.
I mean, that's a magical place. Apparently, you
Right.
launched 2 business or 2 careers. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
No, I remember my question. So it sounds like, you know, coming up in March, you're going to have a move.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like you're growing your business right now through connections to other businesses, right? Basically,
Yeah.
making that. But do you have any plans? Do you see, like, in 5 years, would you have people working for you?
I don't know if I want. I think I was just talking about this with my boyfriend last night about how they'd have to have really good, strong values and a faith background like me, and so that scares me to give my brand up to somebody else in that way, unless I really trusted them. And then, do I want to manage other people? I don't know. You know, I would probably have my boyfriend do that, kind of, but he does that already. So I don't know. But I also don't want to be greedy, and I want to give back to God if that's something he wants me to do. So when I get busy enough, I'm going to have to pray on that and figure out if that's something in my heart that I want to do, you know, and it's helping more people in his way. So.
Question back there.
Hello. So I'm interested in this because I'm a nurse and I just recently started my own advocacy business. So I'm finding it interesting that so many people in the healthcare field are venturing out. So what are you doing different that you would say that kind of stifled you in like a medical corporation system, that why you kind of got out of it?
I think, you know, I was wondering if I was going to mention this. I was reading this old book called, I was reading Think and Grow Rich at one point. I just remember sitting on my couch listening to this book on how you can't move forward in a corporation with people over you, and you can't, you know, make more money or whatever. And part of me, I want to make more money so I can give back to the kingdom as well. I'd like to have a stroke foundation, you know, to where I can maybe give money back to families that are in therapy and they can't pay their bills. And but from what I'm doing differently, I just feel like I can take my time. I don't have to have 1-hour visits. I allow 2-hour visits, even though I don't use all that time for a patient usually. But if I go over to an hour and a half, I'm not rushing them out. They don't feel rushed. And that's kind of what my reviews say online. You know, I spend the time with people. And that's how I met Kayla, is through other patients. They told me about her and how she spends her time with people. And so I know we value the same. We value time with our patients, because once you get to know them and know what's going on deeply in that first visit, that's what's going to, you know, you're going to set yourself up for success with treating what you need to treat. So I think just the time and the compassion, and just not burning yourself out by seeing, you know, how many people, 4 or 5 people they push you to see in a visit for like a primary care visit. And there's a lot of great doctors out there. I love, you know, there's several at Sanford, and so I'm not talking bad, but I can do what I want to do. And not that they were against praying or anything. I've done that in the hospital as well, but it's my focus now. Like, that was always just go, go, go. Now I just slow down, and this is what I do, so.
Okay, another question.
We're going to stand. So we feel a little more formal.
Oh.
We work for a home healthcare company as well, and we see a lot of aging individuals in their homes who suffer from depression, anxiety, mental health, and that stigma of not knowing that they have those things.
Mm-hmm.
That generation just kind of shoves it down and moves on. But
Right.
in comparison to larger places like specifically Stanford or CHI and their behavioral health, how far out do you schedule, or how far out is your waiting list? Because in personal experience, I've been on a waiting list since August of last year, and I still don't get to see them until April.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm growing still, and now I can be picky of kind of the individuals I want to see. Not that I'm very picky, but again, I don't see severe mental illness, so that opens up my schedule for other people, because those are chronically seen pretty regularly. So, and then as far as the aging dementia population, I don't do that anymore. I did that a lot of years at Sanford. I'd go up to the nursing homes, and I love that. They called me the geriatric whisperer. You know, I have a big heart for like older people, but again, that's kind of not where I'm going now. But my wait list is probably, I mean, really honestly, it's only a couple weeks, because I'm still growing, and I know that's going to change, and I'll have to decide what I want to do at that point. But I'm able to fit people in pretty quick right now. So
that's good to hear. Well,
yeah,
not everybody we see, has the dementia, Alzheimer's. Some of
Yeah.
them simply have the depression, anxiety, and
Right.
need somebody to kind of talk to aside from us, maybe
Yeah.
a specific professional. And we see age range from 30 to,
Oh.
I mean, even younger. We do developmental disability as well.
Oh
for
yeah, and that I have
graduates and
big
farmers.
heart for that too. I mean,
Yeah.
like, I am not I feel very comfortable talking with somebody, with some disabilities. Although my process is kind of extensive online intake, so that's kind of one thing, especially with the older generation, it's hard for them to do that.
Right.
And it's kind of imperative that I have that done. So it's kind of like I try to walk people through the computer process, and I just hired an assistant this week, so that'll be helpful.
That's
Yeah. So, but I've talked with some of the counselors that work with some of the developmentally disabled people in town, because I love that population
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So.
She has a question as well.
Oh.
Yeah, so I was just wondering, so as a founder, how do you handle with your mental health? And
Oh,
how do you
good question.
stay steady?
I do lots of stuff. So that was actually one thing I was going to talk about, and it kind of slipped my mind, was how I tell people, this is like, mental health should be like going to the dentist, where you're getting a cleaning like every 6 months, although I think it's, sooner, but, we say that that's important, but I mean, with the pressure, and I'm learning, I'm getting trained in chronic pain therapy and chronic symptoms for like depression, anxiety, OCD, PTSD. There's a certain therapy where it teaches you how to calm the nervous system down and rewire your brain. And we explain it how if you've had a headache ever from stress, it's a mind-body symptom. And so chronic pain, there's a lot of research out there that suggests that we can get rid of chronic pain by doing these calming the nervous system techniques, not fearing the pain. And again, there's the book called The Way Out by Ellen Gordon, and Unlearn Your Pain and Unlearn Your Depression and Anxiety. And I'm getting certified through these companies to do this stuff. But I've been doing the therapy myself, is kind of what I'm getting at. After the stroke, I had chronic pain in my right arm, which my left arm is this affected one, but this one had to do everything. And it was in so much pain, and I didn't hurt it, and I was like, what is going on here? I spent probably $4,000 on my arm to get this pain to go away, because it was excruciating. And so finally I realized the impact between the fear and the nervous system, and how that can really affect pain and cause anxiety and depression. It's like, I need to go see like a mind-body therapist. And so I read all the books on mind-body stuff by Howard Schubner, Ellen Gordon, and just, this is research stuff. And so I'm excited about it. I've seen my pain go away. It's almost gone, using these techniques and using a therapist through the Pain Reprocessing Center. And so I did that. I did therapy with one of those for chronic symptoms, and then I had my own therapist up at Mind Body, because I started having panic attacks after the stroke, thinking, what if I have one again? And, obviously it's just a scary ordeal. I was like, I need to do this. So I exercise every day. I push that for my clients. I mean, not every day. It's a fight, but I try to, and just therapy, exercise, and my faith. So.
Good morning, Tonya. My name is Joel, and I appreciate you sharing about your faith. I'm a Christian as well, and I just love that you're choosing to implement that and lead with that. I am curious, though, because I've heard of like Christian therapy or mental wellness, but how do you approach that in a medical way with people? And then because I'm in the creative field, it's like, how do we charge for creativity? How do you charge for the spirituality aspect, or is that just a bonus that everybody gets?
I guess I can charge and bill for therapy, so whatever way I use that, you know, that's how, whether it's supportive, you know, and if that's something that they want, you know, we're exploring that. But the first question was, what was it? Oh, with the medical world. Oh, yeah, okay. So, you know, it's funny because severe mental illness, we know schizophrenia and bipolar, those are severe illnesses. Like, and I was like, you know, a lot of people will argue, is this more the devil? And I'm just like, well, I don't know. Like, I don't know that I really believe in that. This is science. I've seen the medicines work beautifully in the hospital where people are psychotic and they come in and they go out and they're completely normal and they're amazing people, you know, and just, so I know the medicines are a tool. And so I think we can't pray everything away. There's things that we need medicines for, and definitely would not suggest people go off their medicines. But I also feel like with the new neuroscience and the neuroplasticity and the therapy that I'm doing and working with that, we can heal. And medicines are a tool, but that doesn't mean it needs to be forever. Like, I'm not afraid to walk people off medicine as we get better through therapy. And that's kind of one thing. I'm working with Haley Joris in town who does pain reprocessing therapy as well, and she collaborates with me because she wants to get people better, get off medicines, and providers are sometimes scared to do that. But I also pray with people and say that the medicines are good for now, but again, it doesn't have to be forever, and we can, what was I going to say? God made these people that are so smart, you know, that know vacuums and stuff that we don't understand, that made these medicines that, you know, gave gifts or talents of therapy to people, you know, and so we need to use those things for when we need them, and there's a time and a place for that, you know. So, yeah.
I think I have just a scale question. You know, I think depression, anxiety, these are things that are fairly prevalent, maybe more so than we realize. And there's only one of you and not that many people that are providing those services. Is there some way to scale that, to speak with groups? It could be a good feeder for your business as well, but just where you give people like some high points and some things to think about, and just to maybe start a larger group down the right path?
Yeah, I think like a lot of the therapy centers, some of them do like different types of groups for trauma and stuff. And again, my focus for my clinic is more of like a psychiatric assessments, where a lot of people don't do that, and medicine management. So the therapy piece has always been kind of more of a touchy thing. Like, I've done my own therapy, I've done my own learning over time, and then experience, you know, with working in the field forever. In my practice back at UND, they never had therapy sessions. We never had to do group and therapy. Now they're making people go through like the curriculums where they have to go actually do therapy with people. We never had to do that. So I never felt competent for a lot of years until, you know, over, you know, like maybe last, you know, 5-10 years to be able to do some of the therapy pieces, and just doing now the learning on my own and like getting certified in some of these different things. So the group stuff, you know, I collaborate with a lot of therapists because there's only one of me, you know, like there's not a lot of us that do prescribing, and there's tons of therapists. So again, like I said, I kind of work closely with a lot of them in town, and kind of I'll shuffle the people that need routine therapy, because that opens up my schedule to do what I need to do with the medicine piece, and even just educating about the neuroplasticity and that we can get well. I think hope in general is healing. And so once you give, if they've been told they're going to live like this forever, I'm like, no, like that's not a thing. I mean, it doesn't have to be, as far as, again, in some disorders, you know, and I think hope in itself is just, like I said, a healing. So.
Me again, hi. So you, I think this dovetails well, because you were talking about, you know, some of the self-learning you've been doing, some of the certifications you're also pursuing, the neuroplasticity. I said it.
Yeah, good job. That is a tough word.
What are the advances in your field that you're most excited about and that you can't wait to learn?
I think emptying my schedule versus filling my schedule, because people are getting better, is like my, you know, and so I think just getting this word out, because as far as from what I've seen people shift, and working with some of the therapists, working with my own therapist, working with Haley and watching her people, you like she told me my schedule is opening up because people are shifting and getting better. Like, we're getting out of chronic pain, we're getting out of chronic symptoms, and I don't even like to use the word chronic because I don't believe the word. So it's yeah. So it's just kind of the research backs this up. If you go look at some of the studies with chronic pain, they've done tons of research on these where they'll look at MRIs of the back. It's something called the Boulder Back Pain Study, and everybody has the same looking backs. We all have bulging discs, we all have arthritis. Why does one person have pain and one person doesn't? Well, they'll look at the history of this person that has pain, and they've had trauma as a kid. They have a lot of people-pleasing traits. They have perfectionism traits. I had a typo on my screen. I said, I don't care, I'm letting that go, we're human. And so they'll look at a lot of stuff. And so how do we shift out of that fear and that pressure and kind of like, they've gotten pain, people in 15 years of chronic pain gone in like 8 weeks. So it's just amazing stuff, I think. And I feel like that's the wave of out of opioid treatment and all of, those things. And just, it's going to be healing. So I'm excited about that.
Another question.
Yeah, so if you could go back on day one, what advice would you give yourself?
And on the day that I
started
my business.
Now that you've gone through, 4 years now?
Yeah, it's been about 3. I'll be going into my 4th year this year. Okay. So, gosh, I don't know. I guess I feel like I'm pretty laid back, not trying to stress too much. But I think just to slow down, like, don't rush yourself, because I think looking back, it's like you always want to know if you're going to succeed. And I think, again, having that faith, you just never know. I think it's so funny how God does things, and you look back and like, oh, that's why you did that, and it's just like, go with the flow, like there's reasons why your business isn't growing so fast. God's growing you in some way. And so I think that's the biggest thing, is just have faith and just let it go as the process will unfold as it's supposed to.
I also have a question. So first, the small one is, what's your target age range for treatment? Like, do you have an age range of?
Yeah, 18 and up, pretty much. I mean, I used to say 16, but in the hospital for so many years, we treated adults. So I had been kind of, and it's like 16, the bodies are kind of the same. You could probably technically do that, but I just didn't want, legally it's just easier to treat an adult because they can consent. And so instead of you have 2 parties in there, and a lot of times kids don't even know what they want anyway. I mean, teenagers sometimes are open to the medicines and the evals, but
yeah, always have to get a parent.
Yeah, so you have to get consents, and like I said, my paperwork and consents are all online, and so it's easier just to treat the adults. And I never really was. My certificate is for adults, So I've been in the world of working with like Dr. Holland and some of the child psychiatrists and stuff, but I just never really routinely seen kids, especially in my hospital work.
So to piggyback on that, then my second question to that was, what is your long-term plan or goal, and are you looking to partner with anybody in the future aside from Haley and other therapists?
Yeah, and I think we have our own businesses, so we're all doing our own thing, so we're not technically working I mean, we just kind of collaborate, I guess is a good word. I have people I trust, and I have another therapist right behind you who, Plainsman Therapy, so he's a strong Christian as well. But there's, as far as the future, I don't know. I guess it just has to see how busy I get and what I want to do. I think a little bit more therapy is coming into my realm, but again, I feel like I still need to open that space up for my core of what I'm trained in as far as medications, evaluations, because I see them work so well, And again, if people believe and trust you, it's going to also help. Unfortunately, placebo is a big thing, and so if people are trusting what I'm doing, they're going to get better. And so I guess I don't know. Maybe I'll add another provider. I had a student that I really loved, and her and I have talked, but I'm just not sure. The growth isn't there yet, and I know it will be, but at that time, I don't know what I'm going to want to do. I guess I'll just have to pray on that, like I said, and give it up to the big guy.
So it's my turn.
Okay.
I always get to ask the very last question of the day. So thank you very much for your presentation. I think it's amazing that you're using your faith and your education to help people the way that you are. So what can we as the 1 Million Cups community do to help you to succeed?
I mean, I guess if you know anybody that's struggling, or even primary doctors working well with, or letting them know about me, therapists and primary care providers are kind of like my biggest network of people, because sometimes they don't want to deal with, you know, the mental health and medications, and primary care has to learn everything, you know, and so this is my area that I do every day, and so to get people on the right medicines gets them quicker, faster, and so I think just letting them know about my business and that, you know, I specialize in the evals and the medicines would be helpful. So, thank you.
Well, I think I speak for everyone. Thank you so much, Tonya. Really appreciate your presentation. One last round of applause. All right, last little bit of housekeeping, and I am getting really farsighted. Okay, Lacoste Solutions, so February 11th, and then what do we have? Lucid, Second Home Thrift Store. Make sure you put it on your calendars. Wednesday, 8:30, same place, same time. Remember, all gifts for Elton to me. Have a great day.